Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. We got my buddy Eddie here. We're going to do a little thing today about some of the regulations that are coming down from the FWC and, well, more importantly, NOAA, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. They've got some crazy, ridiculous things they're trying to do to us charter captains. You know, for thousands of years, it's kind of a big problem. Thousands of years, fishermen have been having their secret spots, and we really don't like to share them unless we got buddies like Eddie, and he wants to go bring his kids out fishing or something, because our spots will get outfished. But what they're trying to do is put GPS tracker beacons on our boats. And it's kind of fuzzy as to what they're going to do, but it feels really big brother-ish. And we're really, really apprehensive about this as captains because we share these spots with our friends, and this is shared knowledge that we don't want just getting out there. You know, we don't want these commercial guys. What were you saying about that, Eddie?
Commercial guys homing in on your numbers.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to go out to a spot that we've been fishing for a long time and know these commercial guys went out there and just slaughtered 2,000 pounds of fish off the spot. And we go out there with our clients and look silly. And we really believe that that's what's going to happen. When Big Brother is watching, it usually means, what's been your experience with that, Eddie, throughout the years fishing in Miami and South Florida, you know, with when they start tracking these different populations and fish sizes and they get all this data? What do they seem to do with fishing?
Well, most of the time, I mean, once they start researching, I mean, what they want to try to do is they want to turn it off. I mean, they want to keep you from catching the species, like the Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
Yeah, tell me about your experience with that.
They shut it down years and years ago, and I mean, you cannot keep a Goliath, and right now, they're pretty much a nuisance. I mean...
Yeah, for sure.
Once they turn them off, for them to turn them back on, it's going to be... Once they turn them off, I think they're off for good.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. Even outside of the fishing world, like we've seen this with wolf management up north and with grizzly bears and stuff. You know, they make them a protected species because they need to be. And then when they say, "Oh, we've met our numbers, our sustainability goals, let's start doing hunts again," everybody freaks out. Same thing's happening with sharks. You know, we've got people being ridiculed for catching sharks and bringing them in and donating the meat to food shelves down in Miami. Some friends of Eddie's. You know, it's just. The data, you know, these scientists, I know they mean well, and I know some people that work for the FWC, and they work in the biology and science department. We've had them on the boat before. I've been fishing with them, and they tell me something like 25% of fish that we catch, we're talking about red snapper specifically, that they say that they're going to die. They want to put these descending devices on our boats, which aren't a bad thing. I definitely support using them. What's going to happen when we use this descending devices in 80, 90 foot of water on a reef? We're going to put this snapper or this grouper down. It's out of season. What's going to happen to that thing?
After bringing them up from that depth, I mean, when their scales are all puffed, I don't think this sending device is going to work.
No, I mean, their eyeballs are popped out. I mean, it's a horrible thing that we have to see, and we don't enjoy it. But even if they're still kicking and you drop them down there, there's monsters that live down and lurk. I mean, 12, 14-foot tiger sharks and bull sharks, and about them Goliaths. Like, what's going to happen?
Well, even if there weren't those fish down there, I mean, once they come up with their scales ruffled, anything over 100 foot, I think they're going to die.
Yeah.
When we get in the shallower water, in the 60, I mean, we let them go, and they swim right down to the bottom. No help at all.
They're like a missile.
Exactly. But in the deeper water, they're floating.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just kind of one of the things that happens in deeper water. And we always vent the fish, and we work them, and we try to get them to do everything we can to keep these things alive and healthy, because we believe in sustainability. And it's just, you can't send a fish down to the bottom on a reef. The barracuda are going to destroy. We're going to lose these devices like crazy. And, you know, if we don't have this device on a boat, they're saying that we're not going to be able to fish. Well, what happens when that device gets eaten by a Goliath grouper out there and we come back in, we're going to get a ticket? Like, that doesn't make sense. The other thing with these GPS device tracker things they're talking about doing is they're talking about, we're going to have to, it's like a commercial unit where we have to have this tracker device on our boat. We have to check in on a tablet or something before we go out saying, hey, we got this many people, we plan to catch these kind of fish. And when we get out there, we have to hail in saying we're coming back in with this many fish. And they're actually wanting to know how many fish we've released. Well, I'm scared of that because they're going to be like, well, 25% of those died. We're going to take that from the fish catch quota, and you're not going to have the season you're supposed to have. It take even more away from what we have. I mean, we only have about 62 days as federal captains. And we're just all really worried that that's going to be diminished. Or maybe instead of catching 2 snapper, which I think is ridiculous, maybe they'll make it 1. And, you know, I've had these FWC guys on my boats, and they say that some of these scientists, they don't believe that there's so many red snapper out there. And they literally take these people offshore to go fishing for red snapper so they can see it. I mean, I've got captains that have been here for 15, 20 years that I talk to. And they have seen a huge spike in red snapper. They said 15, 20 years ago, you'd be lucky to catch 1 red snapper all summer. Now you can't hardly even get to the bottom where the grouper and stuff are because the red snapper are so thick. And we've definitely seen that.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, Eddie's fished the Keys a lot. What is our red snapper fishery compared to like down there where people, you know, are really, really high on the fishery?
Red snapper fishing here is far better than the Keys. They do have the red snapper in the Keys, but they also have the mutton snapper, and they fish the spawn. But the red snapper, I think here, from what I've experienced, is far better than the Keys. I have caught red snapper in the Keys, and when you find them, they're there, and it doesn't take long to fill your quota. But you've got to be in the right place, or you're going to put them back.
Yeah. And that's what's challenging. We have such a good fishery here, and it's been sustained. But these big commercial guys, they've got thousands of pounds of quota, and we just, as the little guys, the charter captains, we're worried that their needs are being met because they got money for lobbyists and lawyers and all these things that we don't have, and we're not as united as we probably should be. So we don't trust big corporations and the government to do right by us. On top of that, for thousands of years, people keep their fishing spots secret. So we don't know what to do, and we're gonna do the best that we can to follow these new regulations and laws as they come out. We just hope that somebody's listening. Maybe
Sure.
they'll listen to this video. It's just really challenging. I mean, if you ask any charter captain, they're gonna tell you there's too many sharks, there's too many Goliaths. There's days when we can hardly get a keeper fish in the boat because they're just getting smashed.
Yeah. Oh well. When the water's warm.
Yeah.
The predators are out there. I mean, they're out there thick.
Yeah, and in the wintertime, them Goliaths on those reefs get super hungry, and they're like vacuums. I mean, they vacuum everything up, but you can't hardly get a fish to the boat sometimes, and they'll follow you. We'll be on one side of the reef, drive half a mile over to their side of the reef, and they'll follow your boat, and the sharks will too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the summertime, I won't even try to chum because they'll have 3-4 tiger sharks or bull sharks just sitting in the back picking off your fish left and right. It's like an Olympic sport trying to get these fish to the boat.
Yeah. It's either that or the cooties.
Are the kudas. And if you go to a reef, you got the Goliaths, you got the sharks, and you got the kudas. I mean, yesterday I was out fishing. We cooked in a mahi. It wasn't a huge mahi. It was pretty good size. There was 3 barracudas chasing this thing to the boat. And it was like, nar, 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 nar. We got them in the boat, thankfully, but I got that on camera, and I'll put that in a video here in a month or so. You'll get a chance at that. We got some pretty good underwater footage of that, too. But yeah, I mean, in the end of the day, like, when they shorten these seasons, especially red snapper, everybody pays. We got hotels, restaurants, bait shops, the gas stations to and from here. I mean, this impacts a lot of people. I would love it if they would just say, look, red snapper's open for twice as long, but you can keep 1. Because everybody goes out there and they see through the junk. I mean, they see through the crap because there's so many red snapper out there. You can see them boil at the top. There's certain times of the year you could dang near put a hook with a line this long and just catch a red snapper.
Sure.
And I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Once you get them chummed up and they're on the surface, yeah.
Beginning of the year, you don't even got to chum them up. You just put a little hook on the surface and you're catching a red snapper. I mean, it is insane. You look at the screen, the graph, it's like the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Red snapper like crazy. I mean, it requires no skill to catch a red snapper.
No.
I mean, I'm going to take my 2-year-old baby out and she can catch a red snapper. You just wait. Wait a couple months. There'll be a video of her doing that on a little Barbie pole. Just for fun. When there's a federal government shutdown, us federal water charter captains, we can't renew our licenses. When the government was shut down for 3 weeks or a month or whatever it was, people couldn't fish. If you don't have that federal permit on your boat, you cannot go out and fish. So what's going to happen when their data system goes down, or we can't chirp in? We're supposed to sit at the dock and not make $1,000 or $2,000 that day because the government is shut down or their computer system isn't working right. Like, I don't know who that works for, but if you did that for anybody else and just told them they weren't going to make a lot of money like that, they'd be pretty angry. On top of that, who's going to pay for these things? These units cost $3,000, $4,000, right? Right now, I believe with commercial fisheries, they're paying for these things in a reimbursement program. So you pay for it up front, the government reimburses you. So who pays for this tracking and all? The taxpayer. So and if they don't, you think us charter captains got an extra $4,000 to buy this thing and it's like $60 a month for the monitoring fees? No, we're going to pass that on to our customers. So not only are our customers not going to be able to keep as many fish, they're going to have to pay more for it. So who does it really serve?
Well, it's you're hurting the customers.
Right. And most of our customers, you know, some of them are very wealthy. Some of them are just really hardworking people. They save up all year just to go fishing with us once a year. And I treat everybody the same. I've got people that, you know, are farmers and people that, you know, build houses for a living. And I almost like taking some of those people out even more because they work so hard. And when they get there, they're so happy to have that experience. And they really, really are grateful for it.
Exactly.
And then there's this whole thing with the state and federal regulations and government. For years, they've been taking the restrictions and the rules for the federal waters and making the state waters kind of come up and comply with the same regulations for slot limits and for the amount of fish you keep for each species. Well, what's troubling with that is it's all stronger, tighter and tighter and tighter. And with red snapper, they say federal water captains cannot fish state water. Well, why am I paying, and all my charter captain buddies paying $405 or $205 a year for a recreational state charter captain fishing license if we can't fish state water for red snapper? Does that make any sense to you? It doesn't to me.
No.
Especially when we've invested, many of us, $25,000 and $30,000 in federal pelagic and reef permits to fish in federal water. So we're paying twice and we can't fish till 9 miles out. So on a really bad day, we have to
even if you have the state license, if you have both licenses, you cannot fish. You can only fish federal, you can't fish state.
It is required to have the state license on your boat. And then to fish past 9 miles, you have to have the NOAA permits on your boat, right? So you cannot fish for red snapper in state waters if you have NOAA permits on your boat, which makes no sense to me. We're paying more than everybody else, substantially more than everybody else. But when the state opens up this fall red snapper season, we can't take people out. And I don't believe that's fair. We have to go by a higher standard more often than everybody else, and it's more dangerous to go further out. So you're telling me when it's windy as heck out there, I got to go 9-10 miles out to go fishing when I got spots that are 4 and 5 miles from shore? As a captain, that puts me in a spot of integrity. Like, I can't do that. And often I'll call trips if it's going to be bad because of that. If it's going to be sketchy or if I got to go that far because of storms, you know, going 5-10 miles out is a whole lot different than going 15-20 miles out.
Well, yeah, you're putting people's life in jeopardy. I mean, if it's rough and they got to go catch a fish and you got to run 10 miles versus 4, I mean, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. And why would they put these regulations are causing people to do things that aren't safe? And I don't understand them. I know they probably mean well. These scientists have this big data and all these things, but they sit in some room in Tallahassee or wherever they sit and they make these decisions. They need to come out and talk to us and see our clients, interact with us, and see the whole picture. And I know some of them do, but I think we need to see more of that, working with us and not just telling us how it's going to be. And unfortunately, in my 15 years in the military, in my experience in the Air Force and the Army, and working for the state of Minnesota and the National Guard, there's a lot of, we're in charge and here's the new rule. And they don't always get as much feedback. They often make it look like they're getting the feedback from people. But at the end of the day, Big Brother doesn't care because Big Brother is bought probably by these big guys with money in their pockets that they've got, you know, these lobbyists and people working for them to get what they want so they can make more money. Yeah, these commercial boys. I mean, this is America, and I'm sorry to say it, but it's for sale. If you got the money, you can get her done. And eventually people will get pissed off and do something, and hopefully I can inspire that a little bit with this video. I'm not sure that it's going to do much, but please, if you believe what we believe, that living a waterful life is not just for fun, it's a lifestyle. Please like, subscribe, and share this video and this channel. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Brownells, Journeys to St. George Island, and Coastal Clothing. Until next time, guys. See you later.
Tight lines.